Where I'd like you to start is I'm actually going to come up seated on my block. And just letting your eyes close down here for a moment. And we're going to bring the backs of our hands onto our thighs with our palms turned up. Okay. And as you start to settle in, I want you to first become aware of kind of any sound floating around you in the room, outside. Right? Just using those sounds to help us become more present. And then you're going to become aware of kind of any thoughts floating through the mind. And I like to just see if those thoughts are moving quickly or if they feel scattered. And then this last one, you take a little body scan and you become aware of any feelings, any sensations kind of floating and moving around in the body. And then with your hands open, you're going to inhale. And then as you exhale, I just want you to gently close your hands and make a fist, coordinating that movement. So curling the fingers in. And then again, when you inhale, let the hands open. And as you exhale, let the fingers curl in. And gently squeeze. We'll do one more together. Inhale, open. Then exhale, curl the fingers in. Using the breath and the movement to get really mindful. You're going to do a few more on your own. Noticing how this very simple technique helps us to capture our attention and become just a little bit more present on our mat. One more together. Inhale. And exhale. Good. Okay. As you release, then go ahead and open the eyes, roll over your shins, sitting on your heels, and let's take the hands all the way back by the feet as you completely round in here for child pose. So the first of our questions, what were the major accomplishments or achievements in the last year that I was really proud of? And so what I try to do here, Didam, is I try to remember what the feeling of being proud of myself feels like. And then I try to think of any times over the course of the last year when I felt that feeling. And we try to just acknowledge those accomplishments. One more breath. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, arms reach forward, top of your mat as you pull up into tabletop position. And then as you tuck your toes, send your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Okay, so especially if you're dealing with like little wrist things, right? It can be really helpful to kind of feel like you're pulling the fingers and the thumb kind of together in towards the center of your palm, giving more and more weight into the root knuckles of the fingers. And then again, you're going to take your knees down to the mat. This time, keep your toes tucked under, right? And with your toes tucked under, put your hips back towards your heels and take an extended child pose. So with our toes tucked under, we're going to activate the feet a little bit more and then feel from your outer hip that you're really stretching forward through the side rib. And then again, when I'm having wrist stuff, I don't want to sink into the wrist. I think that my underarms, like my under forearms, are helping to lift up away from the floor, so I'm not sinking down into the wrist crease, keeping more of the weight forward into the fingertips. Come back up through center, tabletop position, and then go ahead and shift back into your downward facing dog. Okay, so as we come back into the second downward facing dog, if you feel like you do need to make any movement, pedaling out the legs. Yep, looking for that feeling of turning the sitting bones up towards the ceiling. My next question is kind of in what ways have you stepped out of your comfort zone and maybe experienced any personal or even like professional growth over the course of the past year? So becoming aware of what your comfort zone is, and if you step outside of it, like for me, it's always like maybe meeting new people, having a new experience. And you have one more breath. Inhale. Exhale. This time, as you take your knees to the mat here, tabletop, drop down onto your elbows here, bringing your elbows directly underneath your shoulders. Pull your chest forward. Inhale, kind of like a cow pose. And then again, send your hips up and back. Downward facing dog, right? Or sorry, more like a dolphin. Okay, and so down dog is usually probably like our comfort zone. So stepping a little bit more out of your comfort zone, letting your heart melt down towards the floor, feeling this as that deeper stretch in your upper back and armpit. Okay, so moving out of the comfort zone and kind of staying there, sticking with it as you inhale. Exhale, take your knees down to the mat, lift your elbows, tabletop position. And then from here, as you inhale, pull your chest forward, full cow pose. Send your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Okay, so from our down dog, with our feet hip width distance apart, I want you to walk your hands all the way back towards your feet at the back of your mat. And then bend your knees, drop your hips, sit down, back and low into your chair pose. Okay, so next question. All right, what were some of your most significant challenges that you faced in the past year? So we're doing chair pose because I find it challenging. And how did you overcome it? Like, what did you do? So for me, like one of the challenging things about chair pose is keeping my arms up. So I'm just going to modify and I'm going to bring my hands down here in front of my heart. Right. So I'm not like avoiding it, but I'm like kind of breaking down a challenging situation into something that I can kind of handle. Now we're going to be here for a couple more breaths, shift the weight more back into the heels, make sure that the toes are light, and then maybe sink into the sensation a little bit more. Like we can sit with a challenge and not just kind of distract ourselves or try to avoid it. Inhale. And then as you exhale, fold out over your legs, Uttanasana. Okay, so it always kind of amazes me is like when I get over a challenge, I'm like, oh, I could have handled that a little bit more. It wasn't so bad. Inhale, exhale. Hands walk forward to the top of your mat as you press your thigh bones back, downward facing dog. Good. And then from here, you're going to step forward, top of your mat. 1, 2 steps. Good. Now, as you lift your chest here, you're going to take your arms out to the side. So I've been doing this a lot. Instead of like hands at the shin bone, I've been opening my arms out wide. I do a better job then of kind of like feeling my shoulder blades on my upper back. And I can feel more of that sensation of like a cow pose through my lumbar spine. And then exhale, fold all the way into your Uttanasana. Good. Hands at your hips with your elbows up, shoulder blades come onto your upper back. And then you press all the way to stand. Good. Closing your eyes, hold your hands in front of your heart center. Next question. Okay, so how did you prioritize like self-care and well-being throughout the year? Right? What practices bring you the most fulfillment? So as I was doing this end of last week, like sun salutations, right? They just make me feel good. They help me get into a rhythm. And I know they're kind of like total body moving meditation. They're a great way to practice self-care. So release your hands down next to your sides. And we're going to take three Surya Namaskara A's. Inhale, arms up, reach. Exhale, fold all the way in, right? So taking care of the hamstrings, releasing the spine. Now inhale, lengthen, half flat back, open the arms out wide, stretch it through the fingertips, open heart. Plant your palms, step back, top of your push-up, plank pose. Inhale, plank. Exhale, bend elbows as you lower all the way down onto your belly. Good, point toes. Inhale, lift up cobra as you press down through the tops of the feet, the tops of the ankles, and then stretch back. Downward facing dog. Okay. So like my practices of self-care are a cup of coffee and meditation at sunrise every morning out on my balcony. Right? What are some of the like rituals and routines that you have that you want to like continue doing or maybe even do more of in the upcoming year? Inhale. Exhale, step forward, top of your mat. We're going to keep that forward momentum, shifting the hips over the heels. Float the arms out wide. Maybe look a little bit forward, opening your chest. Perfect. And then exhale, fold in, Uttanasana. Hands at your hips, elbows up, flat back, look forward, squeeze glutes as you press to rise. Number 2, right? So inhale all the way up to kind of like taking care of your body from fingertips to toe tips. Exhale, fold in, Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, lengthen, half flat back, arms expand out wide. Exhale, step back, top of your push-up plank pose, moving with that coordinated breath. Inhale. Exhale, bend elbows, lower down onto the belly. Inhale all the way from your toes to your nose. You inhale, you kind of curl up into your cobra. Exhale, press back. Downward facing dog. Maybe other forms of self-care, like getting to bed on time. Kind of review the different practices that you have and the things that really actually kind of like fulfill you. Inhale. Exhale, step or jump forward, top of your sticky mat. Keep that forward momentum as you inhale, lengthen, and exhale, fold in. Hands to hips, elbows up, flat back. And one more, we lift all the way to rise. Good, inhale, reach. See if it's starting to feel a little bit more comfortable in the body as you forward fold. That's what I like about routine. Inhale, lengthen. When we set up these rituals, right, they get a little bit easier as we step back, top of your push-up plank. Inhale, exhale, straight down to the belly. Point toes, use palms. Inhale, collarbones wide as you lift up Bhujangasana. Exhale to press back, Adho Mukha Svanasana, holding for 1. Inhale. Exhale for 2. Inhale. Exhale for 3. This time when you step forward, feet together. A little bit more intense. Inhale, lengthen. And then this time, exhale, fold in. Now, as you fold in and hold here, next question. So we're going to do some like heart opening back bends. What were times over the past year when you've like been of service? Like when you've helped others, like when you've been supportive to a friend, right? You kind of reached out to someone in need. When have we been like our most open-hearted? Bend knees, drop hips, hook thumbs, inhale, arch up. Yep, and start to open across the heart and chest. Bend your knees, swing your arms through, interlace your fingers, and stretch out your shoulders here. Yep, good. Fingertips to the mat as you inhale, look forward. And then left foot steps deeply back, lunge. Good. Back left knee down, hook thumbs. Focus on feeling that openness across your heart, kind of shining out. Hands to the mat, press back, downward facing dog. Inhale, slide that forward into plank. And then if you're ready now, chaturanga. Inhale, that more open-hearted up dog. Keep the weight in the pads of the fingertips. Hips up and back, downward facing dog. We're going to stay in flow as you inhale, lift left leg up and back, 3-legged down dog. Exhale, step left foot forward, lunge, following the breath. Good, back knee down, hook thumbs. Inhale, arch up. Exhale, fingertips to the mat as the back foot steps forward and you fold. Good. Reconnect with that active service, hook thumbs, maybe opposite finger on top as you inhale, reach up, press your sitting bones down towards your heels. Exhale, swing arms through, interlace fingers, and stretch out your shoulders here. Good, really curl in. Fingertips to the mat, inhale to lengthen. Exhale, step right foot back, lunge. Good, back right knee down, hook thumbs, inhale. Lift the ribs up and away from the side hips as you reach. Hands to the mat, press back, downward facing dog. Inhale, forward into plank. Exhale, bend elbows, chaturanga. Really try to turn the biceps forward. Wrap the triceps back. Excellent. Hips lift, up and back. Downward facing dog. Stay in flow, right leg lift, 3-legged down dog. Step right foot forward, lunge. Good, drop and ground that back left knee. Inhale, lift up. And exhale, step forward as you fold. Okay, pause. We're going to move into Surya Namaskara B's. What valuable lessons did you learn about yourself this year? Bend knees, drop hips, sit low. So like what type of awareness did you learn? Like, right? Maybe you learn that you procrastinate, or maybe you learn that you put too much on your plate or don't make enough time for yourself. What did you learn about yourself in the past year? Inhale. Exhale, fold in, Uttanasana. Inhale, look forward, half flat back. Exhale, if you're ready, step or jump, chaturanga. Inhale, float it forward, pull it through, up dog. Hip lift, up and back, downward facing dog. Warrior 1, right foot steps forward, back left heel grounds the flat, lift to rise, warrior 1, and hold. Okay, so what lessons did you learn about others this year? Okay, so like I've been thinking, right? I've learned that like you can't change people. You've got to just really like accept and let them be like who they are. Check around the neck. Feel that your right sitting bone is turning forward towards your right heel. Get a little more lift through the frontal hip point. Inhale. Exhale, hands to the mat. Pick up that foot as you lower flow through chaturanga. Pull the hips forward, pull the side ribs forward, push into the palms, up dog. Hips lift, downward facing dog. Left foot steps forward, back heel ground as you lift all the way to rise. Warrior one, second side. Okay, so what I learned about myself, what I learned about others, and maybe just kind of like what you learned about life in general, right? It was kind of like a crazy year, lots going on in the world. Trying to see if there was like maybe some type of like new awareness. Inhale. Exhale, hands to the mat. Pick up that foot as you bend your elbows and lower slow. Inhale as you pull through. Up dog. Exhale, hips lift, up and back. Downward facing dog. And so this is what I kind of thought was important about like the year in review, right? Is that like we do kind of learn a lot about ourselves, but we don't kind of like make note of it. And then we sometimes forget. Or maybe a friend or something kind of like taught you something, showed you something that was like a new perspective, and we just kind of want to remember that. Right? Like I actually had like a lot of friends kind of show up for me this year in like a new way, and it kind of like taught me how to be a better, more supportive friend. Kind of remember what you learned. Inhale, press. Exhale, hop, step, float, top of your sticky mat. Inhale, lengthen, get that forward momentum as you stretch your spine. Exhale, fold all the way in. Bend knees, drop hips, sit low, chair pose. Take an inhale there, sit down and back, and then exhale, press all the way to stand. Okay, inhale, arms up, reach. Exhale, fold in, Uttanasana. Inhale, lengthen, half flat back. And then you're going to step your left foot back here about like 1.5 meters, about the length of your leg, coming into pyramid pose. And so, Zidam, if you want blocks, like sometimes I can just kind of like them there so I can get that kind of full extension of the spine. And then maybe move your blocks exactly like right underneath your shoulders. Now, firm that right hip in, maybe tone a little bit through your inner upper thigh. And then exhale, fold in here. Okay, so as you fold in, and then first you do that little body scan. What areas do you excel in? Okay, so what do you know that you're good at? But then I'm choosing this hamstring stuff here right now because it's also like, where do I see areas of opportunity or places that I could improve? Right? So I could just start with something as simple as I know that like I'm good at getting on my yoga mat, but maybe I could focus a little bit more on breath or really train and target into opening up my hamstrings more to release my spine. Inhale. Exhale. Let's come up higher up on the block. Step your left foot all the way back as you come into the low lunge. Left foot stepping back, left knee down. Walk your blocks all the way back as you straighten your front right leg. Good. Okay, so really kind of like now like dialing into that opportunity to go deeper into your hamstring as you fold out over your front right leg. Yep. And if you want to get rid of the blocks here, something that looks like pretty open for you, maybe you could touch the floor. Cool. So it's not like the things that maybe we're not good at. That's not my point. The point is just like we can see these little areas of opportunity for slight improvement to grow. Think that you're stretching your spine forward with your breath. Inhale. And then maybe you can exhale and deepen in just a little bit more. Good. As you shift your weight forward, plant your palms, press back, downward facing dog. Right? And then you want to kind of like notice the effect. Like see what happens when you really kind of like work on something. Does it feel different through the back of that right leg? Inhale forward into plank, keep a little heat. Exhale, bend elbows, chaturanga. Inhale, use the hamstrings to keep lifting the legs up, up dog, hips lift, up and back, downward facing dog. Stay for the breath. Exhale fully. And then hop, step, float forward, top of your sticky mat. Good. Inhale, lengthen. And step your right foot back, that 1.5 meters. Pyramid pose, second side, coming high up onto your block. Good. As you push more and more weight back into that right foot, go ahead and fold out over your front left leg. Blocks or no blocks, you decide. And next question. What is your biggest piece of unfinished business left over from last year? I always think about that thing on my to-do list that I keep moving from the next day to the next week to the next month and sometimes to the next year. Is there something that you could complete or finish from last year that in a way would really like take, kind of like a lot of weight off your shoulders or really kind of clear out your mind? You're gonna take a couple more breaths here as you keep kind of rolling your inner thighs towards one another, pulling your pubic bone back, trying to go deep into that back of the leg without jamming into the back of the left knee. Keep it slightly bent. And then as you inhale, lengthen, look forward. You're gonna deeply bend in that left knee. Step your right leg back into the full lunge. Back right knee drop. Walk it back as you straighten your front left leg. Yeah. Ardha Hanuman, and then blocks or no block. Fold in here. So that's really what I mean. It's like the unfinished business. Like, yeah, it would be great to get the task done, but also just like how much mind space gets occupied when we leave something unfinished, when it just kind of like hangs there as like a regret or unfinished business. Few more breaths going into that like area of opportunity to get a deeper pull or stretch through the back of your left leg. Inhale. Exhale as you lift your gaze, shift forward, plant palms, press back, downward facing dog. Inhale forward into plank. Exhale, bend elbows, chaturanga. Inhale, pull forward, up dog. Exhale, lift hips, up and back, downward facing dog. Okay. From here, lift right leg up and back, bend right knee, let that roll your right hip open. Good. Right, and then I always have this feeling that I have one of those big, thick, like booty bands, those resistance bands across my upper thigh. And I'm really trying to press that out to get more opening. Good. Step your right foot forward up in between your hands, lunge. Prepare for a warrior two as you spin the back heel to flat. And then inhale, lift all the way up, warrior two. Okay. Straighten your front right leg. Then take your arms up, stretch up here. Inhale. Front leg straighten. Yep. Your front leg can straighten. Right leg. Yep. And then exhale, bend your right knee. Good. Bend your right knee and press down and in. Warrior two. Just 2 more times. Finding flow. Inhale up. Exhale, bend in. 1 more, please. Inhale up. And then exhale, bend in here. Gaze turns forward. Review all the way back from last January, February, March, April, right? Like, what were some of the most significant events? Was it something that happened with a person? Was it an experience that you had? What are some of the big highlights from last year? Keep trying to press your right knee open. roll your left hip open. So sometimes my significant events were like fun, positive, exciting things, but sometimes the significant events were like, I don't know, more challenging, difficult learning experiences. Inhale, exhale. Good. I'm gonna stay with you here. Pivot your hands down, press back, downward facing dog. Check in with your hips, like the feelings that are floating through the body. Inhale forward into plank. Exhale, bend elbows, chaturanga. Inhale, lift forward and upward facing dog. Hips lift, downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg float, bend left knee. Try not to shift through the shoulders too much. So like your bottom right ribs in, but then still try to like expand the upper femur bones apart, get a bigger stretch here. As you step your left foot forward up in between your hands, lunge. Good. Spin your back heel to flat, lift to rise, warrior two. Oh, warrior two, and then straighten the front leg. You do that very seamlessly. Inhale up. Keep trying to parallel your hips to the long edge side of your mat. As you exhale, bend in. Clear out any tightness, widen the stance if you need to. Inhale up. Tailbone heavy, exhale, push from back leg, soft through the shoulders, warrior two. One more, inhale. And then exhale. Okay, kind of second half of the year. Highlight significant events, experiences that maybe kind of shape your year or shape you in a new way. Press heavy forward and down through that front left femur bone. Right, we kind of remember the feeling of that experience. Isn't it experience that we would want more of in the upcoming year? Is it experience that we would want less of? Okay, it's got about one more breath. Really drop down into it. Inhale. Exhale, cartwheel the hands to the mat, knee back, downward facing dog. Deep connection to breath. Inhale, shift forward into plank. Exhale, bend elbows, chaturanga. Inhale, pull forward, up dog. Hips lift, up and back, downward facing dog. Inhale, right leg float, three-legged down dog. Exhale, step right foot forward, lunge. Okay, then from here, root the tailbone down, inhale, lift all the way up, high lunge. Interlace the hands behind the back of the hips, roll the shoulders back down and together. And now begin to hinge forward here, Didam, 45 degrees, bringing the weight out over that front leg. As you shift forward, warrior three. Okay, so how did you do, like effectively balancing, like your work and your personal life, right? Are you working too hard? Do you need to work more, less? How do we not just, right? It's not just balance. It's this active balancing, constantly making the little micro adjustments. Inhale. Exhale, fingertips to the mat, left foot steps to the back of your mat, lunge. Pivot, turn to the left side of your mat, parallel your feet. Yeah, okay. Grab your big toes in a yogic toe lock. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold in here. Okay, so on the second side, we are going to try a headstand. So on this side, right, you're just kind of like calibrating, you're finding out, you feel even balance work through the feet, even work in both legs. Right, and so it's between like our work life, our professional life, like all your other commitments. Okay, and then like what little adjustments could you make to like enhance balance in the future, right? Does that mean like, I don't know, saying no to more things, right? Some years I feel like I need to say no to more things. Other years I feel like to get balance, I'd have to say yes to more. And my meditation teacher says there's no such thing as balance. There's only the such thing as balancing, kind of always micro refining. Excellent. Inhale, lengthen, half flat back. Exhale, pivot, turn, top of your mat, low lunge. Okay, you've got your left leg forward, that's fine. Pivot, turn to the pinky edge side of your right hand and balance here in Vatsisthasana. Right, and so especially in these like arm balancing poses, we can see that it's not just stable. You don't just get it and like hold it and grip onto it. You kind of constantly make little adjustments. You check in. Do I feel my legs? Is everything coordinated? Front ribs in, push the floor, reach left arm over left ear, full stretch. Yep, reach that left arm, feet forward towards the top of your mat, forward, reach through side ribs, left hand down to the mat, top of your push-up, plank pose, inhale, plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale as you pull forward, upward facing dog. Hips lift, up and back, downward facing dog. Left leg lift, inhale it up. Exhale, step left foot forward, lunge. Lift all the way to rise. High lunge. Good, this time as the hands interlace, pull the shoulders back down and together. Shift forward 45 degrees. And float up here. Okay, so in this act of balancing and calibrating your life, what was maybe like the smartest decision you made in 2023? And so for me, it's like the stuff that I said no to, or maybe something that I had the courage to say yes to. All of that stuff to like make the year feel that it was like full and whole and balanced. Inhale. Exhale, fingertips to the mat as you step your right foot back, lunge. Turn, parallel your feet over to the right side of your mat. And then this time, line up your fingertips with your toe tips. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, bend elbows. And if you feel that it's appropriate to like press up into a headstand here, elbows in. Yep, you could push down and maybe circle the legs around and up, or just maybe practice lifting your heels. Right, and so what would this year look like if it's just a series of like really, really smart, good decisions in alignment with what you need? When you're ready, if you need an extra breath, take it. And then release the leg. Good, as you inhale, lengthen, half flat back. And then we're gonna turn to the back of your mat, right? Because that will bring you to the other side for Vatsisthasana as you pivot, turn. Second side. Flexing the feet, squeezing the knees, making sure that your hips are stacked. Right, so all these alignment things are to make like smart, mindful, anatomic adjustments in the body, but then make smart decisions about like protecting your wrist or like how much you need as you press the floor, really reach. And then circle that right hand down to the mat, top of your push-up, plank pose. Stay for your breath, inhale. Exhale, bend elbows, chaturanga. Inhale, pull forward, Urdhva Mukha. Exhale, hips lift, up and back, Adho Mukha. Good. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, right leg floats, three-legged down dog. Bend that right knee, open it up. And then right knee comes on the floor behind your right wrist and set up for pigeon pose. Yep, good. And then when you're ready, hold all the way down and in here. Now with your eyes closed. I want you to take a look back on kind of like all the different relationships that you have, right? Like your daughter, your brother, work people, friends. How have those connections improved over the past year? Is there anything that you would want to do in terms of like clearer communication that would really set you up to have stronger, deeper relationships with the people who are important to you? And then, in that same vein, are there any relationships that aren't really serving you that maybe you need to like stop investing so much time and energy into? Inhale, exhale. Hands are going to walk back up underneath your shoulders as you tuck your back left toes. Lift that right leg up and back, reopen here. Good, and then step right foot outside edge of right hand. So a wider lizard lunge. Good. I want you to put that back left knee down. Make sure your right foot is open. I'm going to lift my 5 right toes. I'm going to make sure that my ankle is active and then roll to the pinky edge side of that right foot. Yep. And exactly like with your arms still feeling like you're doing like a little bit of like an up dog, pulling the chest through. And then circle your right arm back up and around as you fold your left leg in. Good. So I'm squeezing my back knee and my right heel kind of towards one another, getting control through the tailbone. And the idea is that we want to be kind of like open-hearted, right? In that way that we can kind of be open-minded, open-hearted to like improve our relationships. If you want to squeeze that back foot in anymore, maybe a deeper twist. Inhale. Exhale, release. Plant your palms, press back, downward facing dog. Inhale, shift forward into plank. Exhale, bend elbows, chaturanga. Inhale, pull forward, press the thigh bones up. Exhale, hips lift, up and back, downward facing dog. Second side. Inhale, left leg floats, bend left knee, go ahead, let it roll open here a little. And then left knee on the floor behind your left wrist. Good. Use the back leg to really pull you back, anchor, and then fold in here, pigeon pose. Okay. As you look back, I actually love this question. As you look back over 2023, what do you promise you will never do again? Could be as something, as straightforward as a habit. Could be a way that you treated yourself or allowed yourself to be treated. Or maybe an experience that you had. What will you not allow yourself to do ever again? One more breath. Inhale. Exhale. Hands walk back underneath your shoulders as you tuck your back right toes with that left leg up and back. Kind of clear it out, maybe even roll out your ankle a little bit, and then left foot steps outside edge of right hand, back knee down. Lift up through front left toes, roll to the pinky edge side. Yep, do your little up dog thing. So we make sure that we're like stretching the lumbar spine up and out of the low back. And as you shift that weight, left arm circles around as you fold that back leg in. And last question here, kind of year in review. For our last couple of poses, we're going to do like looking forward, right? But like, what advice would you give yourself based off of the past year moving forward into the new year? And so that type of advice always has to come from this place of like openness, not resisting, kind of wringing out the old. Inhale. Exhale, plant palms, press back, downward facing dog. Okay, last vinyasa here is you inhale, shift forward into plank. Exhale, bend elbows, chaturanga. Inhale, pull forward, Urdhva Mukha. Exhale, hips lift, up and back, Adho Mukha. Good. You're gonna take your knees to the mat here. See them as you spin and come all the way to lie down. Good. Bending your knees, stepping your feet directly underneath your knees. Put your hands on your heart. With your hands on your heart, close your eyes for a moment. So if you knew you could not fail, what would you attempt in the new year? Okay, plant your hands next to your ears. Yep, and so sometimes even like doing a full wheel can feel like a big attempt. Lift your hips up. Inhale. And then as you exhale, press up to come up into Urdhva Dhanurasana, full wheel pose. Really using your legs to get your armpits more over your wrists. Good. Keep the work out of your wrist here. And there's got to be something, right, that I know that like either doubt or fear kind of holds me back. If I knew I couldn't fail, what would I attempt? Is you push through the hips to the heels and you press from the shoulders to the hands. Inhale. Exhale, chin to chest. As you slowly lower down. Good. Fold the hands over your heart again. Closing your eyes. Breathe in. Breathe out. I actually had a hard time with this question. This next question is, what would you like indulge yourself in 2024? Like, is there something that you've like always wanted to do, right? But it didn't seem practical, right? Or you couldn't make the time for it. Is there, I don't know, maybe it's saying every Sunday you're gonna get a massage. Like, is there something that you could do to really like nurture and indulge yourself or really grow in the new year? Inhale. Exhale. Again, plant the hands next to the ears, elbows up. Right? The things that feel good, lift the hips up and press back up into your full wheel here. Let the shoulder blades kind of slide back down and together at the back of the heart. Yep, keep using your legs, press more and more work into the upper back and chest, reaching your heart towards the back of your mat. And then as your chin comes down towards your chest, release all the way down here. Good. Hold the hands over your heart as you close your eyes. Is there something that you would love to learn this year? Right? Something that could make you like really excited to enroll in something, try something new. Learn a new sport, take an online training. Inhale, exhale. So, what would you like to learn this year? Last one, hands come down alongside your ears. Lift your hips up and press all the way up. Urdhva Dhanurasana, full wheel. Right? Maybe it's a yoga pose. I do that a lot of times. Like I try to pick something and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna keep doing this until I've mastered it, until it feels like comfort zone. Make sure that the back of the neck feels long, that it's loose there. Maybe shake out your head a little bit. Grip through the fingertips. This is your last one. Try to really open. And then release, coming all the way down. Good. Drawing your knees in towards yourself. Chest wrap in. Give yourself a big hug. And then let your left leg cross over your right. Shift your hips a little bit to the left as you drop your knees to the right and come into your supine single leg twist. Yep. Did your knees go to the right? Are your knees to the right or to the left? Okay, when the left leg is on top, yep, there you go. Good. So we always like to twist right first. Okay. And then take a moment to really make sure that your knees are high enough that you can get that lumbar curve, right? That we're not sinking our bottom right ribs down onto the mat, that we're kind of like lifting those bottom right ribs as you twist. Looking back, what aspects of my life bring me the greatest sense of gratitude? So it's really those times when it's not just gratitude for me, it's like, when do I notice myself not taking something for granted? Knowing the finite nature of things and really appreciating it as it's happening. Okay. Where could you let go a little bit more? Where could you soften in the body? Just feel a little more. Inhale, exhale. Good. Unwrap, untangle your legs as you come back to center. Remember that kind of feeling, that question at the beginning of class, like what type of sensations are floating through your body, maybe up the spine, and then right leg crosses over your left as you switch sides. Maybe crawl that left shoulder blade a little bit more towards the left side of your mat. Scan the spine, make sure that it feels long and extended. And then it's kind of simple for me. Like, I just try to look back and I'm saying, like, who and what was I doing? Like, who was I around? What was I practicing? Right? That made me feel good in the past year. And then I look back and I'm like, who or what was I doing that didn't make me feel so good? And am I ready to change that and to let go of it? So it's just like feeding the things that really feed us. It's been a while since we practiced together, but one of my favorite questions lately is just, what could I do less of in this pose to be able to feel it more. Like less tension in my neck, less forcing the pose deeper. More trusting that as I take care of my breath and let the pose do the work, that will feel good. Inhale, exhale. And then as you come back to center, step the feet into the mat. Bottoms of your feet together, knees wide apart. As you close your eye. It's been years now that I don't set like resolutions. I don't have these things that I try to start on January 1st. Instead, I try to pick a word that kind of becomes the filter for my year. And I ask myself, like last year, my word was connection. And so I ask myself, like, did I do things that brought me closer, more into connection with myself, with others, or further from it? And so as you take the last few final moments here, is there a word? Is there something that resonates with you? And stretch your legs to straight for Shavasana. And as you wiggle your fingers and toes, stretch the arms up overhead. And then bending your knees, rolling to your right. Come up and find seated. So hold your hands in front of your heart center, right? And so for me, it's just really, it's important to have this kind of like clear picture, right? To clarify and then actually it's a little bit easier to like stay on my path, right? When I know this word and I know that it will help kind of like fulfill me. And then with your hands in front of the heart, what would be one thing that if you did it this year, by the end of next year, you'd be really proud of yourself? Taking your thumbs to your third eye, bow forward to seal your practice. Jai, Yatma. Jai.